Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is our next JAS Special Edition, number 8. Yeah, 2 weeks ago we did number 7, so I figured, well, it's been 2 weeks, and I haven't done a JAS in a while, so I try to do this every 2 weeks. So there you go. So here we are, Special Edition number 8, with my lovely wife Suzanne, and of course our two beautiful babies, Moonpie and Deja Vu. Welcome, welcome. And my wife, I might be snacking on this every once in a while, but my wife gave me puffins. This is puffins right here from Canada. Yeah, and it has, we have a little bit of good 2% milk in there, I believe. Hey, every once in a while you got to celebrate, right? Just enjoy yourself. So I'll let that settle for just a few minutes. Anyway, good to see everybody, and of course my best friend, one of my best friends here, Mr. Murdoch, too. Hello, hello. Yep, hello, buddy. How you doing? Just sit and relax and watch the show. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, oh yeah, don't feed the sharks. This is my T-shirt that my beautiful wife Suzanne got for me when I went to see the Toronto Aquarium, which is part of Rinning Brothers, or which is part of Ripley's Believe It or Not, the Aquarium. Yeah. So this is the T-shirt from that Ripley's Aquarium there in Toronto, Ontario. Yeah, lots of fun. Don't feed the sharks. Yes. Good advice, especially since way back in 1975, 50 years ago, we had JAWS. Yeah, we frightened people. Yeah, yeah, that was 50 years ago, but everyone, 50 years ago in the summer of 1975. Yeah, can't believe it's already 50 years old. Hey, Kevin Theme Park Adventures, welcome, welcome. Hey, Mikey. And hey, Sci-Fi Sifdan, hello there, sir. How you doing? Yeah, I just came from. Hello, sir. Thank you, Kevin. Um, yeah, I just came from two different live streams. One for my brother Larry, and well, it was actually Gigi. Hello, Gigi. From here, again, saying welcome and thank you for allowing me to be a part of your chat. And brother Larry and Richard, who was Fat Man Batman, and of course Matthew, and of course Larry's wonderful wife Diane. So yeah, I'm glad I was able to see them all. And then I went over to Anti-Derivative Chill's stream. Uh, yeah, I just decided to take her away from my ban list for a while. I guess I'm such a nice guy. I think I really am. Um, there's still other people that are going to remain banned. You know who you are. Um, But anyway, so I was there at Jill's, and of course, it's odd. But besides Jill and PvP, everybody else on the panel was banned by me. Ooh, I wonder why. Ooh, maybe because they offended me or did something bad to me in the past, and they just have short memories. That's probably what it was. Anyway, yeah, yeah. Sif dances 50, 50 years. Man, Mikey, you feel old since you possibly from movie theater or drive-in theater. Yeah, I went to both actually, Dan. I did both. I did a movie theater. I did a drive-in theater. I did I was in the very first IMAX theater. Yeah, I went to that. I've seen that. I've been there to a 4D theater with my beautiful wife over here, Suzanne. We went to our first 4D theater together. Four Dimension is pretty awesome, I have to say. Everything in 4D, and everything is like, comes right at you, but very close at you. Yeah. Now, I have mesophobia, which means I have a fear of bees. Now, my parents took me to one of our first 4D theater experiences. I didn't know it was a 4D theater at the time. It was just kind of brand new, but it was over in California somewhere. And I was sitting there in the middle rows, and here comes these whole bunch of bees at me. Yeah, even though they were in 4 dimension and I had special glasses on, I freaked out. I went nuts. my parents were trying to control me. It was pretty embarrassing. I wanted to get the f out of Dodge. I wanted to run out of that theater because I thought the bees were coming right at me. It was really weird. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, hey, hello, Daniel's Hot Topics. Welcome, welcome. He says, "How are you, Mikey?" I'm doing just fine, Daniel. I got double Daniels here in the here in the chat. Wow. Did you see 2001: A Space Odyssey? Yes, my dad actually. Here, this is a true story. Space Odyssey came out in 1968 when I was only 3 years old. But before we left California, my dad wanted me to see it. So I think right around 1969 or 1970, when it was still in theater, I got to see it. And I was just a very little kid, so I don't remember much, but I do remember the lights. Where Dave goes through all those psychedelic light show and everything that goes all the way till he gets to Europa or whatever. Yeah, I mean, through the monolith. Yeah, very very cool effects even back then. I was just an amazed child, just going. I sat back watching everything. I'm like, wow, yeah. I do remember that being like 4 or 5 years old saying that. And then we saw it again in another theater. But I saw it by myself when it was revamped. It came back out when I was a teenager, and I went to the the big theater we had here, the Cine Capri. And I do remember when they rebooted 2001. Uh, you know, 20 years later, I think was yeah, 1988. That's right. So when it had its 20th anniversary, I got to see it inside there in Cine Capri. Yeah, big size. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, don't worry, I'm over halfway there. Sit in. I know, buddy. I mean, I'm six. I'm turning 60 this year. So what do I get for that? I get a oh, ooh, he's an old man now. He's a senior citizen. Yeah, well, that's so cute. Yeah. You know what? It's funny. Our parents, because my parents adopted Suzanne, our parents call us still youngsters. I'm like, we're not youngsters. We're middle-aged human beings. Okay? We're almost to where you guys were 20 years ago. All right? And Suzanne is approaching, you know, she's only 19 years younger than my mom. Come on. And I'm only 20 years 21 years younger than my dad because he's going to turn 81 after I turn 60. So, yeah. So, I mean, that's, crazy. Oh, no. Yeah. That says, no, not the bees. Oh, no, my eyes. Yes. Well, it was similar to what you just said, except that I totally freaked. I was screaming. I'm not kidding you. We're in a 4D theater and I'm screaming my eyes out or screaming my voice because I'm seeing these bees come right at me. I was freaking. Oh yeah, no, 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 no. We're talking like I'm totally freaking out. I'll never forget that experience. I will not. It was the scariest, shitty thing I've ever seen. And I blamed my parents. I said, "Why did you do that to me?" They said, "Well, we thought you would enjoy the, 4D or whatever kind of experience it was." And I said, "No, I didn't. Like, I knew the bees weren't real. Okay, let's be honest. I still, intelligent brain says to me, no, these things are not real. They're a hologram thing coming at you in a 3D, 4D experience, whatever. They're not going to hurt you. But they came right at me. And that's where my fear triggered in. Well, it's like with Suzanne, she's a globophobic and hates inflatable things. I'm not going to say the B word because I'm kind to my wife. I don't want to hurt her feelings. But yeah, I mean, it was just with her when it first came out, and you see this thing where they're all floating in a library and stuff. She freaked. This woman is brave. I mean, she can handle anything when it comes to horror, but when it comes to those floaty thingies, yeah, she just can't. It's hard. Yeah, it's like me. It's like my phobia, her phobia. We're the same way. It's like when we get threatened, or if we think we're getting being threatened, or something's coming near us, we freak the hell out. That's how we are. Everybody has those phobias. Everybody does. If a person, okay, here's what I'm gonna. This is a helpful. I hope it's a helpful piece of advice. men or women, if they want to have partners, the one of the first things they got to ask them is, and I think this is true, I believe this is totally true, what is your phobia? What is your worst fear? If they tell you they have no phobias, they're liars. They're liars, and you do not want to associate with those people. It's true. It's true. Everybody has a phobia. That's how bad it is. Yeah, and I mean, there somebody is anywhere in this world. Somebody is afraid of something, but they're afraid to admit it, or they just won't come out and say it. And and those people are liars to me. They're cowards. If you are afraid of something, admit to it, and then do your best to try to get over that fear, if you can. Good luck with that. I've tried years for mine. She's tried years for hers. And it just still doesn't work. Yeah, but that's okay. We're the best part about Suzanne and I is we communicate. We we're able to we're able to make compromises when it comes to what we're for each of us is afraid of, and we try to warn each other, ahead of time, and you know, and we get along just fine, you know. And if we do see something that she's afraid of on the screen, I tell her to close her eyes. She'll do the same thing for me. So, you know, it's the best way. Dan says, well, then, Mikey, you much not like honey since bees make honey. Okay, let me express something about honey. I love honey. Okay, I love any kind of honey. And yes, I understand. If we don't have any bees on this earth, we die. We do. We will all die because we just don't have the bees to make honey, the bees to pollinate flowers. I get it. I get the whole thing about that. So, yes, the bees are a necessary evil. Okay, to me, to a person who is a mesophobic, they are a necessary evil, but we need them. I do. I understand that. But just the same, I love honey. I do. I do. I love honey. Um, and then Dan says, well, then you much not like the band Sting. Okay, first of all, it's not a band Sting, it's the musician Sting. I like Sting. Sting is great. He's my favorite musician. Okay, my favorite male musician. Sting the wrestler, now he was pretty cool. I have to admit, I really like Sting the wrestler. Of course, I wasn't so happy when he lost to Hulk Hogan, but you know. But I did like Sting the wrestler. Yeah, as much as the singer. So yeah. And if there's a band named Sting, sure, I don't mind. Yeah. The Honeybees, the Honey Drippers. You remember the Honey Drippers that, the guy from Led Zeppelin led, Robert Plant, the Honey Drippers? Yeah. Sure, I didn't mind that. That was fine. And hello, long time no see there, Kevin, the trusty ape, saying, hey, Mikey. Welcome, trusty ape. Good to see you. Oh, and Sif Dad said just doing bee jokes. Well, good luck with that, Dan. Um, Trusty Ape says, hey, Sif Dan. Dan says, for me, it's snakes to a point. Since I saw the snake movie Anaconda, that movie made me scared of snakes. Well, there you go. It's justified that you were scared of snakes because of that incident that you saw them on. I'm afraid of rattlesnakes. I don't trust them. Rattlesnakes, when they hide in the background, well, I told you folks, when I lived in Arizona for all those years, I always had to be careful walking deserts at night because there are rattlesnakes, scorpions, there are, uh, some black widow spiders, which are dangerous. You know, coyotes are dangerous because even though they don't tend to bite, they are very protective of territory. And the other thing you had to worry about was javelinas. hmm And then, of course, don't forget the Africanized killer bees, killer honeybees, but killer bees live in Arizona. They're all over the state, except for I think some little parts up north because it gets too cold, Flagstaff or something like that. But otherwise, they live there. They exist, and I had to live with them. I had to be careful. I couldn't get pissed off if I had a bee that was trying to come at me. It's more than likely it was an Africanized one, and I had to be really careful. Because if you swat at them or whatever, they send bunches, and no pool is safe. Doesn't matter what you jump into. Any any bit of water is not safe. and they can find ways to get into your apartment. I mean, I had a flue, which was part of a chimney thing in my place. I had it completely closed, or at least I thought I did. There were bees that were hovering up in there. I didn't know if they were the Africanized ones or not. Sometimes we have regular honeybees that are in the state that still exist. They coexist. Okay. And I did manage to get one in my apartment. I had a total freak out show. And I had to get somebody else to come into my place and kill the thing. Yeah. I totally freaked out. There was also a wasp that got into my apartment back in Scottsdale. I had to go. I freaked totally out. I had somebody come in. Well, luckily, one of my neighbors was nearby, heard me shouting, screaming, and they came over and killed it. But I mean, that's how bad it was. That's how bad it was for me. Yeah. So I totally get your fear there, Dan. I do. Dan says hello there to Trusty Ape. Uh, yeah. Kevin says Sting was my favorite wrestler as a kid. Right? I thought Sting was cool. Yeah. I met a few lady wrestlers when I was working in Super 8 Motel there in Lawton, Oklahoma, which is near Fort Sill on the highway there. I did manage to meet a few female wrestlers that came through town. They were just there to spend the night or whatever. I was blessed enough they came to our motel or Super 8, I'm sorry, Super 8 Motel. And I got their autographs and I talked to them. A couple ladies, and they were very nice, very sweet. And they were talking about lady wrestling, all this stuff. I thought it was so cool. It gave me something to do. I mean, I was a night auditor as by myself, so only with like I think one security guard, because the guys and people over at Fort Sill like to make messes, in our motel on weekends. So I had to make sure we had at least one or two security guards. We did have an access to police, local police. So if we had any trouble, any real trouble, I could call the local police on non-emergency, and they could come immediately and disperse, break up the recruits that were having their 3 day pass. Yeah. So yeah, those were fun times. I got to meet some good people. Daniel's Hot Topic said, "Have you seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind?" I heard Steven Spielberg ask someone in the military of the government if he got it right. The guy told him he was close. Yes. Yeah, I do recall that. Well, actually, okay. Daniel, here's the thing. Devil's Tower in Wyoming. I've only seen it once in my lifetime. But I can tell you, there's got to be a secret base or something that's hidden there. Because it's private land. It is forest. I mean, it's national forest, right? But it is private land, and there they do experiments and things there at night. Star checks and charts and things like that. They do have things going on there, which is restricted to the general public. Believe it or not. So yes, I have been there to Devil's Tower just one time. It was in passing, but yes, it's a crazy place. It truly is. Let's see. Kevin says I was 5 feet from a coyote 2 days ago. They are aggressive around here. I tried to scare him off, and he just stared me down. That is very, very scary, Kevin. Yes, coyotes are very territorial, and you have to be extra careful when you're around them. Yes, because they can get really offended. And there have been moments. I mean, no, there have been reports where coyotes have bitten children, or little pets. Dogs, cat, even a cat. If you let a cat out, they're going to eat the cat. Let's be honest. You never let cats outside, not around places where they have coyotes. Nope. Not even little dogs. It's kind of scary. Yeah, I'm glad you survived that. That's a big stare down. Um, I had to stare down. I know this isn't the same, but I had to stare down with one of the first animals I got to encounter here when I moved to Canada. That was a raccoon, and I thought the raccoon was scary. I mean, it's an oversized cat. It's got big, eyes like this, and whatever. But I was scared. I mean, he was on top of a garbage chute, and I had thrown something in there, and then he jumps up out of there, and then there's like two others that are rolling around in there. So there's like three of them, and I got to meet one for the first time. I was freaked out. because this was the first time I ever seen a raccoon without a cage around it. You know what I mean? In a zoo or in a petting zoo or whatever. But this was the first time I ever seen them in live, setting. I was a little scared. I was. So, I just let him be and I said, hey, go back to what you were doing with your garbage, shuffling and traveling and whatever. So, and Mark Malnikoff. Hey, Mark. Welcome, welcome. Mark, hold on just a second. Let's get this done for you, all right? Okay. So, Mark Malnikoff, you are now officially a standard moderator of the MikeySuzeFour channel. Congratulations. And welcome, welcome. Yeah, wasps can be nasty little bastards. I came upon some in a stump in my garden 2 years ago. Had to have Orkin deal with them. Yes. Yeah, you don't deal with that yourself. No. Make sure you get professional entomologist to do it. Yes. Like Orkin, like yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, you never deal with that yourself. No, 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 no. We had the same problems. I told you about this story, right? Over down there in Arizona when I was still living there. An old man in Glendale. This is in West Phoenix, okay? An old man in Glendale was walking down the street with his dog on his leash. And the dog was starting to get irritated. Now, the old man didn't know what was going on at first, but the dog was starting to get irritated with a couple bees that happened to fly by and were starting to land on the dog. And of course, the dog was shaking and doing whatever. Well, then one of those bees decided to bother the man. The man, stupid as he was, decided to brush that bee away. Next thing you know, there's probably about, maybe close to 100 bees. They really never determined the number. But the old man and the dog tried to get away. They both died. The bees overwhelmed them, and of course, that was it. When you get enough stings, you die. Unless you get the anti-bee serum or a anti-venom that you use for that. And that's what happened. So, yeah, they're very scary. Let's see. Daniel says, when I was 5 years old in 1992, I went to my grandma's place in the country in Italy. I went outside and I went near a beehive, and then the bees came out and they started stinging me. Oh my God, I would have freaked myself out there, dude. I'm glad you're okay. Back in the 90s, he said, we used to get lots of cats all throughout the 90s, and up until 2005, we got tons of cats, but there are a lot of wolves and coyotes in the area, and the cats went out to hunt and never came back. They became lunch. Yeah, that's exactly right, Daniel. Yeah, that's why you never have wildcats as friends. You only want to keep domesticated cats, and you want to keep them indoors at all times. You never want to let them out. Mm-mm. No, not with the coyotes. Coyotes that are around. We do have a few coyotes around here. They're more into the forest and the brush and whatever. But we do have them occasionally try to come out here, into civilization because they're starving. Because that's what a lot of these animals are doing nowadays. I've even heard this about the moose that are up, further up north a little bit. They start coming into human habitats because they're starving. They're hungry. They need food, and they're not getting it. And a lot of food is being reduced in forests and things like with they're cutting into trees, building homes and buildings, and they're taking away their habitats. Yeah. And Toby, hi Toby, welcome, welcome. Greer fire update: over 18,000 acres burned. The firefighters that are working on the lines of the fire lines have been successful. It hasn't reached Eager yet, but it's like 1.5 miles away. It has reached the State Route 260 side. Zero containment still. Oh my God, Toby. Yeah, Eager and Greer and all that. Yes, severely affected. Wow. I hope they've already declared a national or a local I hope they've declared a local evacuation of the Eager area. If it's still 1.5 miles away, it's going to catch up real fast. So I hope they have decided to evacuate the town. I hope they've done that. Because Eager is a great little town. Greer is too. Yeah, that's a shame. That's a shame. Yeah. Well, thank you for the update, Toby. And Mark Malnikoff, as I said, I gave you a standard mod. If you want to say something, so you know that you got your blue Renchi. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Toby says Greer Village itself hasn't been affected, according to the officials. Okay, that's good. That's still good news. All right. Daniel's Hot Topic says, do animals have souls? Do they go somewhere when they pass on? Salty Trucker says, when animals pass, they just disappear. They get erased from existence. But Matrix Lord 212 says that they do have souls. Listen to Matrix Lord 212. All animals have souls. Salty Trucker is a bastard. He's wrong. He's stupid. Okay? Listen to Matrix Lord. Matrix Lord is correct. Animals do have souls. They do. I won't tell you how I know this, but I do know I am right. It's true. I've examined it. I've researched. I've done all possible things because I used to do biology courses in school. I used to, yes, animals do have souls just like human beings. So I hope that answers your question. And they go somewhere when they pass. They continue to exist. Yeah. Well, for pets, especially dogs, cats, things like that, they go to what is called Rainbow Bridge. It's a part of heaven. It is. And their souls go to heaven, just like human beings' souls go to heaven. Or if they go to hell, whichever one. But, but animals do pass on. They do. And sometimes, like humans that have their essence that stay behind or whatever, we still, once in a while, have Suzanne's best boy, Lucky, who lived to be 15. He's still around us. He watches over our girls, Moonpie and Deja Vu. They can they can see him. See, cats and dogs and every other animal has a sixth sense. They can sense other worldly, paranormal beings there, and they can sense them. And they can see them. So if there is a spirit of a cat, which we do believe is Lucky, and he's still around with us, and we want him to be around because he was a great cat. We loved him, and he's not ready to go to Rainbow Bridge yet. We haven't sent him all the way through, you know, and that's fine. But Lucky is our protector, and he always watches over us. And Moonpie and Deja Vu know that he's there. They do. So I mean, yes. And let's see. Yes, and they do go somewhere when they pass. They continue to exist. Yes, they do, Daniel. In another, other side. Yeah, I saw that. I am honored. Kapla. Well, you're welcome, Mark. Kapla to you too. Yes. Mark says I've had cats all my life. They are intelligent and have souls like other animals. Absolutely. Yeah. See, Daniel's hot topic. Listen to Mark here. Mark knows what he's talking about. Yes. It's very true. Toby had a message retracted. That's okay, Toby. No worries. Um, so Daniel says, I want to believe my beloved Kiko still exists. I love Kiko and I miss him so much. I'd still kick my ass for being so depressed and not get out of bed because I was so down because I wish I had Jessica. Yeah, well, don't worry about Jessica. Plenty of fish in the sea, buddy. You don't need to worry about Jessica anymore. Toby says the cause of the fire is still under investigation. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, the winds are going to be pretty bad tomorrow here, so it's going to be challenging. Yeah, we had some really breezy conditions up here today, here in Scarborough and Toronto. So, yeah. And Mark says, I know your pain, Daniel's Hot Topics. They become more than a pet. They become members of our family. It hurts when we lose them. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's painful. They're members of your family. They are. They're whether you consider it extended family or actual family that grew up with you as you were younger and I've lost lots of pets. She's lost lots of pets. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy. You have to learn some humility You have to learn some maturity. You grow. You do. When you lose pets, I truly believe this, and I want to say this. When you lose a pet, it's important to realize that you're maturing as you're growing, as you try to comfort yourself for your loss of your pet. You're also trying to mature yourself. You're trying to become a stronger person. Now, men are allowed to cry. They are. I don't care what you say. Okay. Anybody who argues with me on that point is going to lose. Men are allowed to cry just as much as women are allowed to cry about pets, about loved ones, uh, their persons of their family, their friends, their relatives, acquaintances they made. They are allowed to cry. Men and women both. Don't feel ashamed if you cry. If you're a man, do not feel ashamed. Women, same thing. I'm telling you, ladies, don't feel ashamed because it's natural. It's natural to feel the loss of a beloved friend, uh, family member, blood relative, whatever you call them, cousin, anything. Yeah, it's necessary. Crying is necessary, and when you've gotten over that, you start to mature a little bit more, and you say, "Oh yes, um, I did lose someone, but they're in heaven. They're watching over me. They're doing everything." And then you feel better about yourself because you realize that you're still on this earth and you have a purpose. You still have a purpose. God has given every single person on this earth a purpose. They have to do something, okay, in order to feel better, not just about themselves, but feel better about helping others. And when they have achieved what God has asked them to do for their own personal mission, then they're ready to be taken and go. And that's it. That's what happens. And let's see. I got a little sidetracked. Sorry about that, guys. And ladies. Let's see here. Daniel says Coco still misses Kiko, and when he goes on the deck, he still goes to Kiko's spot where he used to go. Coco still remembers. Yeah. Cats mourn like we do. Yes. Been through that with several. That's true, Mark. That's true. Daniel says, I kicked myself in the ass because I remember in summer 2012, I was so depressed I could not get out of bed. When Joanne and Mario were going to the beach, Kiko came for me to go to the beach with them. Toby says, I will find out more information tomorrow of the new updates. Toby, appreciate that. Please, yes. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been to Arizona. Like I said, 8 years now almost. But yes, I still worry about the people in Arizona because I lived there a long time. And I do worry. Um, and hello, Sir Lemon Pie. Welcome, welcome. He says howdy. Howdy, you there, Sir Lemon. Good to see you. Daniel says, however, I was so depressed, Joanne had to carry Kiko out of my room because I could not get out of bed. The same with 2013, 2014. I could not get out of bed, and Kiko was trying to get me out of bed. That's so cute. Daniel said, I missed 3 years of summer and going to the beach with Kiko. 3 years of his life. Stupid me. But I remember in 2015, Joanne forced me out of bed and I fought to stay because I was depressed. Well, I'm sorry that you were very depressed then, Daniel. That's a rough go. It truly is. Let's see. I want to try these puffins. They are as good as I remember. Hmm. They are pretty good. Hmm. You know that I don't know if you knew this, but there is a song that played in Arizona on an old show I remember called The Wallace and Lambo Show. And Mike Condello, rest in peace, he was a musician and an artist and leader of his own local band. He did band covers and things like that, especially Beatles covers. He was really good at that. Anyway, long story short, so there was a song he created called Soggy Cereal. And if you look it up on YouTube, it's available. You just type in soggy cereal Wallace and Lambo show. It'll show you the song. It's there. It's available. Um, I remember watching. I remember listening to. Well, I don't watch it now, but it's available now, and I can watch it whenever I want. But back then, it was just on TV, local TV, and uh, you know, and it's called Soggy Cereal. And I started to listen to it. It was funny. I still think it's one of the funniest songs I've ever heard. And ever since then, I was a kid, and I said, Soggy Cereal does taste better. So I was like, mm, puffins. Mm. There we go. I just had to try some. Anyway, I hope you didn't mind me eating that a little bit. I was very hungry. Um, let's see. So getting back to the chat, so Daniel's hot topic says, but I got to say, I am happy because that was the best summer of my life. It was amazing. It was so wonderful. Mark also said cats have a way of sensing our emotions. I have plenty of experiences with that. Mark, I have too. We have. Suzanne and I have had lots of experiences with cats, not only in our separate lives before we met one another, but afterwards. Yes, we've had a lot of interesting experiences, but we grow from them. We do. We grow from them. And Daniel says, I think I showed you the pic of Kiko in summer 2015. Yes, you did, Daniel. He was so happy. He was smiling at the camera, and I was sitting next to him. Um, no, Daniel. I'm actually eating puffins. 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 It's similar to Quaker oats. Yeah, except it doesn't have the oat part, with a little almond thing like that. It's just, yeah, they're like puffs.
They're like Captain Crunch.
They're like Captain Crunch. Suzanne told me just now. Yeah, they're like Captain Crunch. Yeah, It's not Quaker cereal. No, you recognize it, but yeah, they're puffins. Yeah, he's eating puffins, which are birds made into cereal. No, Sir Lemon, they're not birds made into cereal. Okay, they're just like Captain Crunch puffs. Okay, they taste similar to Captain Crunch. I know that was a joke, Sir Lemon. So thank you. Yeah, thanks for that joke. That was cute. So we got 7 likes. We got 3 people still watching. That is awesome. Yeah, I might go the full hour. I'll see how I feel. I'm just like I said, I like doing these JASs every once in a while, just to get it out there, see what you guys are doing. By the way, as I mentioned in the description, my Golden State Warriors were knocked out of the playoffs by the Minnesota Timber Puppies. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Gorilla. Thanks a lot for ruining my NBA playoffs this year. Yeah, they were knocked out 4 games to 2. So, yeah, I have no more Warriors. I have no more interest at all in the NBA playoffs. I'll probably watch the finals. Yeah. Oh, thank you, honey. Yeah, this is the Puffins box, and it's from Barbara's store. Yeah, from Core. So this is and high in fiber, but it does have a little bit of sugar. Yeah, can't avoid that. Anyway, yeah, this is not Quaker a Quaker cereal. Oh, thank you, honey. Yeah. Um, Lemon. Oh, Sir Lemon says I love peanut butter Captain Crunch. Yeah, peanut butter Captain Crunch is good. You guys, did you guys, the girls, used to eat that? Remember when they had the close or the ET, the extraterrestrial, and they had the ET cereal, the Reese's cereal that it tasted like Reese's peanut butter cups, or the Reese's candies. You remember that? Yeah, I had that too. I used to eat that a little bit. Mark says, "Yep, Julie won't allow me to go to the shelter by myself anymore. Why? I will always bring home a cat." Well, there you go, Mark. Well, that's all right. Julie, you know, Get used to Julie saying that, okay? But maybe once in a great while, if you suffered a big loss, God forbid, if it's a family member or somebody you list, and you would really like to have a cat to comfort you and Julie, tell Julie, come on, let's get a cat. We love the cat. The cat will take care of us. The cat will take care of you. And we'll take care of the cat. So, sure, any major tragedy happens, get a cat. Get a cat. Yeah, that's usually the best thing. Um, Daniel said, so exciting. Did you know that they're filming Avengers Doomsday, but they probably stop now and resume tomorrow? Well, that's good. Yeah, Avengers Doomsday is going to be interesting. Definitely, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Toby says, I'm happy that the Dodgers lost to the Angels. Right? Yeah. We're, I think a lot of people are happy about that. Did you see what happened today, Toby? The Giants beat the A's 1-0 on a 10th inning, bottom of the 10th inning, bases loaded walk that was issued to Wilmer Flores. Once again, Wilmer Flores in 2 days has driven in 9 runs. Can you believe that? 9 runs. Yeah, 9 runs uh, of the 10 that the Giants have done over 2 days. It's freaking amazing. Yeah, the Freeway Series. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, but you know who I'm worried about tomorrow? Justin Verlander. The man signed a 1 year, $15 million contract to my Giants, and he's 0-3. Justin Verlander. This guy was a phenomenon. Oh my God. When he pitched for the Tigers? Yeah. I mean, what happened? When he pitched for the Astros, he was great. Well, what happened to this guy? Yeah. Uh, Daniel says Sir Ian McKellen is there with the X-Men fighting Sentinels. Sentinels, yeah, right. I remember the Sentinels, yeah. And Sir Lemon says, yeah, Reese's Puffs, yum, yes. And Toby said, yeah, watch the Freeway series, yeah. And well, tomorrow's gonna, or today, later today is gonna be the big game between the Toronto Maple Leafs, my adopted hockey team here, and the Florida Panthers. It's Game 7. It's the ultimate game. And God willing, if the Leafs do make it, they go on to the Eastern Conference Finals of the Stanley Cup. That should be interesting. I really think that the Leafs were going to go all the way, and I still believe this until they lose, until they're eliminated in Game 7. I'm still believing that they can make it all the way. Now, Suzanne is always been a New Jersey Devils fan, and she has a few championships she should be proud of. Um, I've always been a San Jose Sharks fan, but I can't. I don't remember when the Sharks ever won one. I don't think they ever have, to be honest. So that's kind of sad for me. I used to follow the Coyotes in Phoenix when they went from becoming Phoenix Coyotes to Arizona Coyotes, but then they went to Utah. So yeah, what can I do? I don't know what to do about that. So yes, tomorrow's important Game 7. Maple Leafs, come on, let's get this over with. Either lose or win. Do whatever needs to be done. But if you lose, your curse continues. But if you win, there's still hope. So I would like this city to be happy. Toronto's been getting. It's got a dumb scumbag named Doug Ford leading as a mayor, and he's a fucking moron. And yeah, I'm sorry I had to drop a few F's there, but he's terrible. And Toronto needs to celebrate something. So. Mark says I'm off on a Sunday for the first time in months. Hopefully, going to have a great time. Uh, rail fa- rail fanning tomorrow. About to get my cameras and equipment ready. Sweet, Mark. Well, enjoy yourself, please. Daniel says Sir Ian McKellen is 85 years old. He is a legend. Both him and Sir Patrick Stewart are there. Sadly, I think this is the last time we will see them. Or Secret Wars. Don't think they will be in new MCU. I don't think so, sir. Cause not with their ages. They might be motion, you know, they might be motion captured And that would be cool if they're motion captured and, de-aged a little bit. I wouldn't mind that. Toby says he is not playing good when he was like playing with the Astros. Right, right. Sir Lemon says, I am not sure who I'm rooting for in the NBA anymore. I suppose Oklahoma, but I think New York or Indiana may win. I think the Knicks might win. I was pulling for the Celtics, but yeah, I think you're right. I think either the Pacers or the Knicks, but I don't like the Pacers. I was not a big I was not a big uh, Larry Bird fan. Remember Larry Bird when he played for the Celtics, but he originally came from Indiana? Yeah, I was not a big Indiana fan. I don't know. Just I'm not a big Pacers fan. And I'm really not a big New York Knicks fan with Spike Lee and all those morons over there. So yeah, well, it wouldn't be bad. I guess Oklahoma City should win. They're really good right now. Sashi says, no frame of reference, but yay, sports. Well, hello, brother Sashi, our wonderful time traveler brother from Malaysia, who's 20 plus hours ahead of me. How you doing, Sashi? Doing all right there, my friend? He says, greetings, everyone. Just popping in at work now, so I can't stay. It's okay, Sashi. We understand. Um, let's see. Yeah, Daniel said I missed Doug Ford's brother. He was hilarious. Yes, he also almost shut down the town. So, yeah, well, he was hilariously stupid, just like his brother. Yeah. Toby said, I love how they announced the new Pope from Chicago and plays the Bulls introduction. That was pretty cool. Yeah, Toby, it is. Do you know what? Did you know his full name is Robert Prevost, Prevost. You can call him Pope Bob. Yeah, yeah. His real his actual name is Pope Leo the 14th. But I bet if you were personally friends with this man, you could call him Pope Bob. He would laugh at it, but he wouldn't mind it. So I just call him Pope Bob. I'm happy with that.
Since he's from Chicago, he's on a mission from God.
Yeah, and said, yeah, exactly. It's just Suzanne just said from the Blues Brothers, and he's from Chicago, and he's on a mission from God. Yeah, like Elwood Blues said. Yeah. Sashi, Malaysians are more about badminton. You know, speaking of badminton, I never really understood the sport. I knew it had a shuttlecock and had a boop, and you were going boop, boop, and over. And my high school, this is weird. My high school used to have, my local high school, Parasol High School, used to have a badminton team, a women's badminton team. I don't know if guys are brave enough to play with a shuttlecock. And those little, rackets of theirs. I think women are more petite and being able to handle that. Yeah, but badminton was not our thing. Yeah, unfortunately. Um, Daniel says, I hope we get James McAvoy as Professor X and Michael Fassbender as Magneto in the new MCU. They can do it for another 10 years. I agree. I actually like them better in the younger Fassbender and McAvoy doing the younger of themselves. Yeah, their younger selves. Daniel says, I was watching a vid that said this new pope could disclose extraterrestrials, but what am I worried of is that he will say, we are the only ones in the universe and the aliens are, yeah. Well, what about Bob? Exactly, Sir Lemon. The aliens are actually angels from heaven, and I would find that quite lame. Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. Um, Look, any alien race or civilization out there that's different from us, uh, back in an earlier age, we might have thought of them as angels. Maybe we did. You know, that's why we have the show that exists called Ancient Aliens, right? We could have thought they were angels at one time or whatever. Christopher Columbus saw lights, flying over him in the Bermuda Triangle area or whatever they said when he was going to discover America, and he ends up, actually landing on the wrong island, Hispaniola, there, Dominican Republic, which it is now. in the Caribbean. So he never actually landed on the United States shores, but he saw lights and couldn't explain them. So I don't know. It's weird to say. Um, Mark says the Pope's hometown was Dolton, Illinois. Yeah, doesn't that sound like a weird name for a town? Dolton? Dolts? D-O-L-T. Yeah, D-O-N. Just south of the city. Also home to one of the busiest rail junctions in the country. I heard that. Yeah. I have a friend that lives in Chicago, guys. His name is PJ Destin. He's an African American singer, songwriter, actor. He's been in TVs, series, different TV series as an extra. He's performed on stage. He's very talented, PJ Destin. His website is Funky Soul Tiger. So if you get a chance, check out not Funky, I'm sorry, Fuzzy Soul Tiger. FUZZYSOULTIGER. It runs all together. Fuzzy Soul Tiger. Check it out. That is PJ Destin. Yeah, he is very good. Yeah, right. Sir Lemon says Shuttlecock is now on the banned word list. Just kidding. I have not put it on a banned word list. That's why I'm saying it. Sashi says badminton rules have changed. It used to be you had to win back the serve before you could score a point. Now you score a point and win back the serve. Reduce the match time. Used to go for hours. Yeah, I heard about that change. That's cool. That's cool. I like that. Daniel said, I also saw a vid that said that there are angels chained underneath the Vatican. And how can that be possible? That means they would be flesh. Daniel, a lot of things that you listen to on social media aren't exactly true. Okay. A lot of them are fallacy. Now, the Vatican has always been considered a secret society. That's not falsehood. That's the truth. Okay. That's truth. What they're up to, a lot of us do not know because they have that library called the Vatican Archives, which is under heavy guard. Heavy electronic guard and human guards and Swiss guards and anybody you want to think of that's supposed to keep track of things that have happened and that the Vatican have categorized. It is a very secretive place. A lot of people don't know about it, but it does exist. It is there. So, whatever they know about some things that we speculate about in conspiracy theories or whatever else goes on, they know it. We don't. So, they already have the up on us. Yeah. So, let's see. Sashi says lots of memes about badminton training. It's a mix of stamina and power. Very tough. I bet it is. Takes a lot of dexterity, doesn't it, though? When you have to stretch, right? When you have to go back and you have to stretch and be able to tap this thing hard enough so it gets over this little list of nets. I swear, badminton nets are some of the smallest nets I've ever seen. Because I've been to a badminton match, I've been to a tennis match, okay, and I'm just saying, and a volleyball match, and I'm saying they're all tennis is pretty good size, volleyball obviously is big size, but the hey baby, but the badminton ones are so small. Yeah, they really are. Yeah, and he says badminton is still less taxing than setback takraw though. Yeah. yeah, I'll bet it has. All right, I have to get back to work. See you guys. Take care, Sashi. From Daniel's Hot Topics. Thank you, Daniel. Take care, Sashi. Good to see you, brother. Our future brother from Malaysia. Yeah. Wonderful guy. Wonderful man. You need, folks, please remember, hit the like button, subscribe. Don't forget to share this channel with your friends and fellow members and family. And also, please, when you do subscribe, make sure you hit the all notifications bell. You know, that little ding, ding, ding thing? So when you see where it says notify me on a future webcam like this or a live stream, just go ahead and tap that one little thing once. It takes less than a millisecond. And it'll say notification on. And then that way, as long as the YouTube overlords are doing their job, It'll notify you when the next live stream or webcam will begin, and they'll tell you when you go live. So that's the best way is just to keep your notifications on, so you'll know that too. Sometimes people just turn them off; they don't know, until they see it and it pops up. It says, "Oh, they're live," and somebody's there. Yeah, so I came from two live ones. Uh, Gigi, Fat Man, as I said, Larry, they were doing all their little thing, which is cool. I wanted to be in the chat. I had done a few live ones already today, so I was very tired. I did Gorillas, his Rome War. I did, uh, you know, before that I did Sci-Fi Sif Dance, Sci-Fi discussion, which was good. So I did a couple already. I'm tired. Um, you know, I went to go see PvP as he was up there on a panel with some people I do not like from Anti-Derivative Jill's channel, which is unfortunate. But hey, things happen in life. And then, so I got a little tired, but I thought, I looked at my schedule, I looked at my streams, and I hadn't done one of these in like 2 weeks. So I said, oh, what the hell? So I decided to come on. And I'm glad that 9 of you do like this, and 3 are still watching. So that means a lot. That's a lot to us. Um, Daniel says, I miss Pop Culture Curator. I was talking to Joanne about Pop when we were in Fergus. He knew so much. For example, he was talking about how we had faster than light space travel since the 50s. Yeah, Pop Culture Curator. Well, he was in the military, and Pop Culture Curator probably knew a lot more than most of us. So I didn't doubt what he would say if he said something about the military having this or that or whatever, the other thing. Yeah, I didn't really doubt him at that point. It was kind of sad. Um, I had an experience. I told you folks before. Long story short, this was a naval man, who was in the U.S. Navy at one time. He worked on special operations, and his son is in covert operations in the Navy right now, and his grandson. Uh, well, no, it was his son, not a grandson. It was his son, his oldest son. Anyway, long story short, I had talked to this man over a course of about a month when I was still working for Safeway back in the United States. And then one day, this old man disappeared, and I had no knowledge of what happened to him. There was a caretaker, an older lady, who came by. She knew that I had this special rapport with the man, so she was very kind to me. And I asked her what happened to him, and she said, "Well, one day he just up and disappeared. Just disappeared. Got out of his bed, um, got all his stuff together, checked out because he was allowed to. He wasn't held by his son or anybody in the family. He could leave whenever he wanted to, and so he just left. They never saw him again. He just up and left, checked out, and that was it. Left his special home or the special home he was in, and I was really disappointed. I didn't know what happened to him. I mean, did he say something to me? Because he did say that there was some involvement he had with Area 51. He didn't tell me the full extent. He just told me he was there for some projects or things he was working on. And his son is also heavily involved with that, as well as the U.S. Navy, as I said. So I hope it wasn't something that I made him reveal, because I don't think he really said a lot to me. He didn't really reveal that much that I didn't already know, and research I do, and privately myself. And he just really, I hope I didn't cause him to disappear. Maybe go into hiding or something. Um, I hope I didn't do that. That's something I think about every once in a while. But it happens. Daniel says to me here, I think we still have that tech. It's just locked away in a top secret facility. Of course it is. And now it's 2025. It must have been amplified greatly. Tech improves over time. It does. It's been improved upon a lot. Yeah. So, and we got 2 people still here. Awesome. And we got 9 likes. So when I add 10, it'll be like Ancient One who says, 10 like hype. Yeah. I better eat some more of my. Don't mind me. I'm just gonna eat a few more bites. And I don't want it to get too soggy. Mm, this is so good. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go because I want to finish this and kind of shut down here a little bit. Um, let's see. Coming up tomorrow is Charlotte Nightstar the Werewolf. I think she might be having a podcast or an interview or some stream like that going on at 4:05 p.m. Eastern. So hopefully I'll get to co-host with her on that. She invited me earlier yesterday, but uh, I was already occupied. I had a stream with Sifdan that I like doing because we co-host together, and we have PvP, and we do watch parties every once in a while. We do of some of the old TOS Star Trek episodes, the 79 episodes and whatever. And there's some really good stories there, some really good episodes, and we're trying to get Sci-Fi Sifdan to become more of a Trekker as well as a Star Warsy. So he's a Warsy right now. He's a dedicated Warsy, but we want him also to become a dedicated Trekkie. Does that make sense? I don't know. Something we're trying. Anyway, Daniel says, "Oh, Mikey, now I remember what I wanted to say. There was this Israeli general that said there are indeed aliens civilizations out there, but they told our military to keep their existence a secret." Well, that would make sense. But here's the thing that's bothering me, Daniel, and maybe you can concur with me on this. Nowadays, public are pretty well intelligent. Most of them are. The governments that be are still telling us that if they expose an alien's existence to the world, that will panic. I would think we're going to go into an alien invasion or some other thing. I don't believe that. I believe that we have a society that needs to know everything, everything about other aliens, whether they're the gray aliens, the reptilian aliens, the blue ones, whatever they are. We need to know about them. We're an intelligent species, generally. We would not panic. We would not flip out. If we knew they were around us, we might be a little concerned and we would question it, but we would not be afraid. We are a very, I would want to say, we are a very protective society, obviously, and we are very uh, defensive. And if we feel like our lives are threatened, we will definitely unite. It doesn't matter what race you are, we would unite together. And I think that the aliens are afraid of that. They're probably afraid that if we know about them more that we know, I mean, we probably know some things, but we don't know a lot. But if we knew more, that would frighten them. And then they would have no choice. Maybe they would have no recourse but to try to take us over. I don't know. I don't know that for sure. And of course, I'm probably speculating about a lot of things right now. But that's the thing, is we're intelligent. You need to tell us. You need to disclose everything. I mean, this Freedom of Disclosure Act, this Freedom of Information Act, bullshit. You need to give us more info. You need to tell us more. Let us know. We can handle it. Come on. We're not scared. MIB. Oh my God. You heard that thing that Tommy Lee Jones said. Yeah, we're dumb, stupid human beings. We would panic. We would freak out. You can't tell us they're happy knowing that they're secure and that they. Come on. That's bullshit. It is. I'm telling you, we're smart people. We could handle it. I know Suzanne and I could. You know, just the two of us, we could handle it easily. We know. Yeah. Let's see. Daniel says They are part of an alien federation and they are curious about us and are waiting for us to join them someday. We have to learn what space is, for example. Space is not what we think it is, apparently. Well, that would make sense. Mark says Klingon Assault Group is always looking for new members. KAG.org. Shameless plug since I am one of the fleet admirals. Mark, that's fine. Mark, Mark, I gave you the blue wrench, so you are more than welcome to advertise your channel here on YouTube and advertise other people's channels if you want. You are more than welcome to do that. And that is not a shameless plug. You're going to find that this channel is a lot different than a lot of other channels on YouTube. I'm very accepting of a lot of things. Yes, there are certain things I will not tolerate. I will not. And I have told you folks that before. I told you what things I won't tolerate. And stupidity is one of them. I believe in intelligent human beings, people that have a purpose. I mean, we all have a purpose, and there are people that need to be heard, and they should be heard. And you know, I believe that Suzanne and I believe in our kindness on this channel that we allow you to do that. We give you a chance. We give you an open forum. But if you're going to abuse it, yeah, I don't think we'll have any other communication with you. It's pretty much true. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's why I give you guys the blue wrenches. I want you guys to promote your channels. I want to see some more subscribers come to your channel as well as ours. That's what I want. That's what I want. I want equal distribution. I want equal representation, as Gorilla likes to say. You know, that's what I want. So that's what we want. That's what Susan and I want. Daniel says, I agree, Mikey. The world deserves to know, but I also heard that disclosure would create not so much panic, but rebellion, and people of faith world would rebel because they might rebel if they think um, they might rebel if they think their faith is wrong or written or rewritten and have been lying to them. And like if people find out the aliens exist and they have technology and science way above Earth, and they have tech and science and medicine that can extend life by say 1,000 years, people will rebel. What will probably happen is people will begin to protest first before they rebel. They're not going to all panic and go insane and start, coming at them with shotguns and all this stuff. No, that won't happen. I don't know. There may be a few factions of people like that will do that. But that's them. Come on. They're radicalists, is what I call them. Radicalist. LISTS. Radicalist. Okay? That's what they are. Religious zealots were like that back in the Bible. They were radicalists. Yeah. And there will be a bunch. You'll see it in every society. There's a bunch of radicals like that. Yeah. Daniel says he's continuing. He says they will rebel against the governments for not making a deal with the aliens to get this tech medicine to help the Earth. Justifiably so. If you were a race of beings that could solve cancer, that could solve AIDS, that could solve the C word with the -19, pandemic, um, if you were an alien race that could solve all this and you're hiding it from a race that could use it, maybe to our full benefit, why would you do that? Why would you hide something like that? Yeah, people would justifiably be upset. And yes, there are even some that would rebel. But I wouldn't fault them for that because you were hiding the information all along. That's why I say disclosure is the most important thing we need right now. We need disclosure. Now, if Trump can provide that, hey, more power to him. If he can put it out there and tell us what we probably most of us knew all along, but confirmed it and confirmed our worst fears, then absolutely, I say something. Tell us what the real purpose of Area 51, or in this case, Area 52, since Obama, back in his day, was able to confirm there's an Area 51. Yeah. So, I mean, absolutely. Talk about Dulce Base, the one in New Mexico. Talk about the G2, which is those caves which are nearby in Groom Lake, near Area 51 and Area 52. You know, talk about HARP, which is over in Australia, in Western Australia. Which is supposed to monitor the weather, or take over it, or cause earthquakes and things like that. Tell Mount Winter. Talk about Mount Winter in Virginia. Tell us all about these places. Let us know. The mountain that's underneath there in Colorado. You know, the one for the one outside of Colorado Springs, Colorado. You know, the place there, NORAD. Okay, tell us about NORAD. Let us know what's happening there. This is all we need. We just need bits of information that will satisfy our curiosity, that will prevent any more of these ufologists to come out of the woodwork and go conspiracy, conspiracy, and talk about all sorts of shit. Yeah, I want facts. That's all I want. I want facts. I don't want bullshit. I want facts. Just tell me what I need to know that makes sense, that makes reason. If I can understand what you're saying and I can gather it and I can say, okay, that's fine. Great. And if you want to keep it for national security, that's fine too. But, there are some things you are allowed to say that won't compromise national security. Just saying. There are a few things you can say. It won't affect anything. Let's see. Take medicine. Mark says, I still think if aliens landed on Earth today, they look around, laugh, and then leave as we look as primitive to them. So primitive to them. That could be true, Mark. I'm sure some of them have already done that. Yes. Daniel says, I heard HARP causes earthquakes. I've heard that too. I'd like to see the physical evidence, though. I'd like to see an actual. Okay, here's the thing about HARP. I want to see HARP run an actual test. Okay? I want them to show this live. I want them to show them doing an actual testing of the whole device. And it's, by the way, it's HAARP is how they spell it. Stands for something. I know it's an acronym, but anyway. So I want them to do an actual test. Oh, and I almost forgot. Don't forget there's that Hadron Collider. And the place there in Switzerland, CERN. Oh, and by the way, Bohemian Grove outside of San Francisco, outside of Sacramento, up in the Northland there. How about those guys? Tell us all about it. Okay, getting back to what I was saying about HARP. So have them do an actual test. Okay? I want to see the test live. I don't want it to be photoshopped. I don't want it to be doctored. I want it to be live. And I want you to beam this thing to a certain point in time here in the world. And if I see one earthquake, if I see it on there live, seeing an earthquake happen, or a volcano burst, or some thunder shower which drops heavily batches of hail or whatever from the sky, or whatever goes on, then HARP is dangerous. Pure and dangerous. I mean, that's it. That would prove to me this is not something we should have in our possession. It's not something we should use. But there hasn't been. What I'm trying to say is there hasn't been real physical evidence that has proven to me that HARP is causing all these things. Now, that might be speculation. And then what I'm saying to you is, it is. For me, it's speculation. I can only guess. But if I see an actual, effect of the system working, as I said, which isn't doctored, which hasn't been altered, which is actual, real live time happening from the facility, and you see an earthquake happen, then it proves your theory, right? Then it proves your speculation or conspiracy, whichever one you want to go with. Yeah, it says, Daniel said another theory is that the UFOs are experimental aircraft piloted by soldiers from reverse engineered alien tech, which could be true. Sure, that could be something. Daniel said, or my favorite one is that the gray or green aliens are us from the future, or one of the alien factions are from the future. That means time travel exists. Well, I believe time travel does exist. I believe it truly exists. Now, what I call it is a time displacement device. Let me explain this to you. Okay, so somewhere in this world, somewhere probably in the US government somewhere, could be even at Mount Winter, you never know, because that's a very secretive place. But anyway, so somewhere the government has in place at least three devices that I'm aware of. They are called time displacement boxes. They cover an entire concept of space and time. What it means is you are only allowed to go back in time one time. Now, there is one multi box that allows you frequency of being able to go backwards or forwards in time, but it's very dangerous. It's a last option resort. The other two are just one time travel jump, one time jump allowed, either backwards or forwards. And one thing you got to know is if you notice, the people that have been back in some sort of time travel device, even one time, somehow you either don't hear about them anymore, or if they do make it back, they don't talk about it anymore. They don't do any more about it. In that case, I say they use the multi one that allows you to go backwards and forwards, you know. But in the other ones, those are only a one time deal. You're only allowed to go back on a mission for one certain period of time. Space and time displace. What they do is they, okay, I'm no scientist, okay? I don't know much about quantum physics or about time or the continuation of space or whatever goes on. But I do know some things about Einstein, okay? Relativity. So, based on relative time and space dimension, they're able to go back one time to one place of past history, and they're allowed to record and to participate in watching said event or whatever they're sent back to, and that's it. And then they do have a recall, but the recall has to be used. If not, the person is lost forever, and then none of their family ever exists. So it's a very obtuse, very different explanation of a time frame, which governments, and I mean governments, not just the U.S., but there are a few choice governments. I'm sure even the Russians have one, but they won't tell people. They exist. They're there. As I said, I call them time displacement devices. Yeah, and they separate space from time, and it's all relative. It's the theory of relativity. It's all relative to time, space, dimension. Everything that happens in a certain space, like the TARDIS, except the TARDIS is fiction or science fiction. It's not fiction. It's science fiction. Yeah. So, let's see. I'm getting tired, guys, so I'm going to get going here pretty soon. Um, Mark says the film Independence Day sort of addressed some of that. Yeah, especially how they had an alien ship and alien corpses at Area 51. It makes one think about what if it's really true. It sure does. Well, the Men in Black movies. There have been 3 Men in Black movies and a Men in Black international movie, right? With Chris Hemsworth, and Liam Neeson in a cameo role. Um, is that real? Are those Men in Black movies real? It's hard to say, but you can't really dispute some of the facts that come out of them. So why is it that we're still fixated on Men in Black? Or like you said, Independence Day or Independence Day Resurgence, which was the sequel. Why are we fixated on that? Why are we fixated on one of the greatest movies that ever came out was, The Day the Earth Stood Still, from 1951? And then why were we interested when Keanu Reeves came back and did it, as a remake? You know, the War of the Worlds. We had the original War of the Worlds, and then you had, Tom Cruise that came out with War of the Worlds. What about Mel Gibson's Signs? You know, the crop circles, things like that. Why are they out there? Why are these movies like that out there that people are watching and listening and paying attention? Why is that? There's a lot. There's a lot of things. Like I said, um, Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, all of these movies, things of that nature, 50 years later, and they're all still popular. Yeah. 2001: A Space Odyssey. Look at them. I mean, that one is, you know, um, 57 years old. It's still popular. Still needed. Star Wars, Star Trek, older Star Wars, Star Trek, still needed. Yeah, there's a lot of things, that sparks the interest. Uh, Daniel says Mario thinks time travel is a sin. He thinks that the power was reserved for the angels, and we shouldn't be talking about it or thinking about it. Well, Mario's not all there. Okay. I would be scared to use a time travel device. What if you use it and you end up in a bad place or silent running? Silent running, yes, Mark. Exactly, exactly. Well, folks, I gotta say, this has been really a most interesting JAS, and I really appreciate all of you being here. Uh, so to Mark Malnikoff, thank you again for being here, sir, and congratulations again on your promotion to the Blue Renchi. Uh, thank you so much. Daniel's Hot Topics, thank you, sir, for being here as well. And scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. Sashi, our future time traveler from Malaysia. Thank you, Brother Sashi, for being here, being a part of this. Sir Lemon Pie, you're always welcome. Thank you. And of course, thanks to Connie Cleary for being our master moderators to take care of our channel and helping my wife out when she's not available. Toby, thank you for the updates from Arizona. Please keep those coming in future webcams when I do during the week. Yeah, let me know what's happening there in Arizona. I appreciate your information. And scrolling, scrolling. And of course, Sci-Fi Sifdan. Thank you, Sci-Fi Sifdan, for popping in, my friend. And thank you for your wonderful, uh, you know, thing we do, on Saturday afternoons with PvP. It's a lot of fun. And appreciate that. Okay. And of course, thank you so much to the trusty ape, Kevin Hill, who is a very good friend of mine from the Bay Area. It's always appreciated, Kevin, that you appear here and keep my chat going. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really do. And there's Sci-Fi Sifdan. And of course, finally, the one that started us off tonight, Kevin Theme Park Adventures, a friend of Larry's there at Be Yourself Adventures. So thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you being here as well. I need to step away, folks, for just a few moments. Personal man business, but I'll be right back. And then we'll do a prayer. Sorry about that delay, everyone. You know how it is sometimes when we have to step away. So sorry about that. And Sir Lemon says, glad to be here. Well, thank you, Sir Lemon. Appreciate you very much. Daniel said, is it possible to end up in hell using a time device by accident? I'm going to say to you, Daniel, that I can only speculate that may not be possible. There is, like I said, there's still a lot more to be learned about a time and space in a relative frame of mind, in a relative frame of dimension. It's still a much unknown subject and speculative at best. I can honestly tell you that I don't know. Okay. Um, as I say, it's not really possible. I don't think so. But that's just my opinion. Like I say, that's you know, I try to use my intellect in most ways to give my own opinion and say what I think. I'm not right all the time. I'm definitely not. I will admit to that to you. My wife here, Suzanne, is 10 times more intelligent than me. Yeah, she really is, and she is my godsend. She helps us in our budgets to handle our budget and everything else that goes on, and she does a fantastic job. She keeps me grounded. Yeah, and she's already told me things that I already can believe happened. I won't go into them here, but there are certain things I do know that we both examined, both researched it, and said, yeah, that happened. Yeah. And there are some conspiracy theories, yeah, out there that both she and I have proven. If you want us to do a whole webcam about that, let us know in the comments, or let me know in the comments after the video is done. And we will. We can go into the ones that she and I actually believe. You know, we can do that one of these future GASs. Let us know, okay? Tell us in the community section, give us a comment there or something and say, hey, I would like to know what you believe in truly as far as the conspiracy goes and what kind of conspiracy and what's been happening. And she and I can definitely go into that and we can talk about that one of these days. Yeah. Yeah, Daniel, thank you. Yeah, that would be interesting. I would like to hear it. Definitely. Sure. Yeah, let us know. Um, I can do something like that next month for sure in June if you would like. I can pick out a weekend in June, like a Saturday night or a Sunday night, and go over it and let you folks know what we think. Sure, I can do that. Just keep watching. Keep watching. We'll get to it. We will. We'll eventually get to what we think about, and what's there out there in the world, that we know about already. So that we've seen, that we can prove. Um, One thing I'd tell you though is what you hear about the paranormal is mostly true. Some things are some things are exaggerated for content. The content's exaggerated. It's kind of bolstered up to almost ridiculous proportions. But I can tell you that in general, the paranormal is real. It does exist. Ghosts do exist. Spirits do exist. Now, whether they're dark spirits, what you say is from shadow people or things like that, well, we've seen it. I mean, I can give you a hint of what we know. We've seen them. They do exist. Do I believe that she believes they're lost souls, though. And I believe that too. They're just lost souls. Whatever, you know, led them to become uh, not necessarily evil spirits, but what led them to become dark spirits is because their souls were lost. Their souls became lost in between the real world and the other side where they ended up in, and they haven't been able to deliver themselves to the light. They haven't been able to go into light for whatever reason. It could be their own rejection of the light, which keeps them where they are, or they could be just they could be just scared of going into the other side, the life beyond. Um, because we're all being kept in reserve. Okay, when we die, this is what I believe in. Now, this is just my opinion. Okay, you don't have to believe me. Okay, but this is what I believe in. What I feel is that when we lose our loved ones, when we lose our pets, when we lose all of our close knit family members that we consider, they are put into a wonderful place, a reserved place. Okay, mind you, most people talk about it as purgatory. Now, I don't think of purgatory as being a terrible place. I think of it as being a holding pattern. You are put there to enjoy your life the most you can from the other side when you reach there. Now, if your spirit is still here on earth and you're floating around as a ghost or whatever, there may be a reason you're floating around. Maybe you haven't fully achieved what you're supposed to do yet. Because even if you're on the other side, you can still achieve something, anything that will allow you to cross over. And there have been moments where Suzanne and I have come across spirits that are afraid to cross over, but we did allow them to. We just told them, they said, you've accomplished what you needed to do on earth. You don't need to do anything else in your other life, your other side. So proceed on, go to the light, and stay there. And don't forget, when we reach Judgment Day, and everybody will be judged. Doesn't matter who it is, what it is, where they are. Everyone will be judged. And when that happens, be prepared. That's all we ask them. And the spirits seem to accept that, especially from her. And then they go. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I really do. And I believe in that. I believe that they are just lost, and what they need to do either has to be accomplished still as being spirits, or if it's already accomplished, they'll move on immediately. And that's, I mean, and some people get stopped from trying to accomplish, right? They get shot at, or, stabbed, whatever. They get killed. And when that happens, they're interrupted. Their life is interrupted. And then they feel denial. They feel lost. They don't know what to do. The spirits are lost. You got to help them find themselves. When they do, then they're able to move on. And that's what happens with any life form, not just humans, animals, pets, what have you. You have to help them move on. And it's a beautiful thing. When you're able to do that, you feel a lot more calm inside. You feel less depressed. You feel better about yourself as a human being, as a spirit of God. Because that is what your whole soul is. All of you are of God. You're beings that have flesh and bone, but you have a spirit inside you, and you always have a soul inside you. And pets do too, animals do too, not just human beings. Any form of life that exists, anything that can walk on two legs or four legs, or multiple tentacles if you're a if you're an octopus, things like that. Um, Big whales, things like that. All of it, they all have souls. So what you do is, if you feel very close to a certain pet or an animal that you've known throughout your lifetime, and you feel very close to them, yes, mourn for them. That's what you're supposed to do. You mourn for them, and you do take your time. So Daniel, I don't fault you at all for the time frame when you lost Kiko. I don't fault you at all. It's your time. You take it as much as you need it, as much as you need to do to mourn, to be, but try not to stay too depressed. Okay, yeah, you don't want to stay too depressed. You want to kind of be able to still walk, among people, get out a little while, do little things, but still keep your pet in your mind. That helps a lot. The memories that are always there, You always want to keep good memories. Everything that you ever knew about Kiko, you want to keep that in your mind right here, in your subconscious. You want to keep that because it's important. It helps you get through the days. It does. It helps you get through nights, days, times you might feel lonely. Don't forget, you have Coco. Coco's your love. That's your kid. You love Coco. You keep keep embracing Coco as much as possible. Until the day that Coco goes, and you'll mourn him too. You'll mourn her too. Yeah, Coco. So him, her. Yeah. So I mean, that's what will happen. But anyway, like I said, we've got 9 likes. I'll add mine to it, so we'll have 10 like hype, ancient one. And we got 3 people still watching. And yeah, we're about an hour and a half in, so we're going to get ready to go. So let me go ahead and give you our prayer in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, thank you so much for bringing everybody together tonight for this special edition JAS. Um, I want to thank everybody that's in the chat that supports our channel, that gives us prayer, love, and support every day. And please pray for all of them in the chat and all of their channels and all their families. Pray for them all. Pray for my beautiful wife, Suzanne, who's going through her own struggles with her knees, both of them, and one of her shoulders. Pray for Larry, Larry, who's my friend of Beers of Adventures for all those years, 50 years. Please pray for him and his beautiful wife, Diane, and for their friends, Richard and Gigi, and everybody we know through the community there, and all their families. And please pray for both of my brother Jason, brother Jay's, the one in Michigan, with his beautiful partner Nikki, and my other brother Jay, who lives in Louisiana, with his beautiful partner Renee. And pray for Gorilla and his whole family. And pray for Sifdan, his whole family. Daniel's Hot Topics, his whole family. Mark Monaco, pray for everybody here. Sir Lemon Pie, Connie Clary, everybody we know. Anti-derivative Jill too. Jill, you're welcome. So yeah, for everybody that we care about, everybody we know of, and like, and don't forget, always hit the like, subscribe, share. Don't forget the notifications. Okay, the bell, and yeah, just subscribe to everybody else's channels. Give them a benefit of the doubt. Listen to their content. It is really good. We have over 250 family subscriber members here at MikeySuzeFour. And I know that Charlotte has 260 plus herself. So make sure that you go to Charlotte Nightstar the Werewolf and start subbing to her as much as you do to me and Suzanne here. Okay? Please do that because I know she needs a lot of subscribers herself. And she has a good community there. So, on behalf of the Lord our God and his blessed Son, Jesus Christ, Jesus' blessed mom who gave birth to him on earth, the most blessed Virgin Mary, and of course the Holy Spirit, and also our patron saints, Saint Suzanne and Saint Michael the Archangel, who is the defender of heaven. May they all pray for us in our hour of need and comfort and help us get through the rough times, as well as help us to enjoy the good times. So for all this we ask and pray in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Thank you, Lord, and thank you for all the little things that you give us in life. And Sir Lemon says, Amen. And Daniel says, Coco is so sweet. He would like to me when he hears your voice on the computer. Oh, he would run to you. Oh, that's so cute, Coco. Hey, Coco, you're so cute. Yes, you are. Well, that's wonderful. And thank you, Sir Lemon. Yeah, amen. Okay, so as I always like to say, my beautiful wife Suzanne always says, as a Universal Life Church minister, she says, leave everything in God's hands. Great piece of advice. As our brother Larry, who I've known, like I said, for 50 years of life, one of my bestest friends ever, he says, always be yourself. And finally, that guy that used to do Siskel and Ebert at the movies, Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune, who said, and now the aisle is closed. So thank you all for being here tonight. at this late hour. I know it's kind of late for most of you. It already is about 2:25 in the a.m. for me, but for some of you, it's probably not even the next day yet. Especially in the West Coast, um, or in the middle time zones. Um, Good night, Mikey, Daniel, and chat. Thank you, Sir Lemon. Good night to you, sir. Good to see you. We'll see you again in future streams. Um, don't forget, tomorrow is, or today, later tonight, is Gorilla's Censored Thoughts, Censored Thoughts. He's doing Terminator Genesis film, and the following week he'll do Terminator Dark Fate as watch parties. So look forward to that. And don't forget, I start, again, my 2 episodes of Red Dwarf that I do on Monday, my 1 episode of TOS on Tuesday, my 2 episodes of Get Smart on Wednesday, and finally my favorite TV show of all time, A Team, where I do 2 episode review on Thursday afternoons, all at 12 noon. So make sure you check all that out. Oh, and my friend Larry, he might be doing an Avengers episode watch party with the wonderful Dame Diana Rigg, when she played Emma Peel. That would be on Monday. So make sure you check that out if he does that. And Daniel says, good night, Lemon Pie. And Daniel says, Terminator Genesis tomorrow. Yay, that is the best one. Terminator Genesis. Right, the way they spell it is GENES YS, I believe that's how they spell it. Or no, GENISYS is how they spelled it. Terminator Genesis. Yeah. But he is a good one. Yeah, it's not bad. I'll be back. Back from where? I'll be back. And he jumps out of the helicopter. Yeah. Some good moments there. Oh, when he fights himself, he says, you shouldn't be here. Goes and boom, takes him out. Yeah. He should have gotten a sequel. Sadly, it did not. Yeah, right. Well, after Terminator Genesis ended, remember, Terminator Dark Fate came. But James Cameron said that Dark Fate was supposed to follow the events of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Right. So that really screwed everything up for all of us. Yeah. That was real messed up. And then Pedro Pascal as the Terminator. Bad idea. Yeah. I'm not a Pedro Pascal fan by any stretch. No way. No way. Yeah. All right. So take care, everyone. And remember, always expect the unexpected. Everybody and everyone all at once, as I also say here at MikeySuzeFour. So with that, God bless America. God bless Canada. God bless everybody in this world and our own world. We only have one of it. Make sure we take care of it. And of course, peace from MikeySuzeFour. So on behalf of myself, my beautiful wife Suzanne, and our beautiful cats Moonpie and Deja Vu. Take care, everyone. God bless everybody here, and we'll see you again on the next either webcam or live stream here at MikeySuzeFour. Take care of yourselves, please.